This video, it's really an evolution of mine. I'm changing more and more and more as time goes on. My thinking evolves, and up to a situation now where I'm thinking along the lines of how to get, not just criticising the state superstructure and the propaganda matrix, but thinking about how to actually get actions, how to get things done. I just need to put some more light in here. I know it's a bad picture, but whatever I do, that was ridiculous. So it's still a bad picture. I understand that. I feel it's an appalling picture, but it was even worse than normal. So, like, for example, just earlier today, within the last half hour, I tweeted about Caitlin Johnston, who I really rate and admire. And I said, for anything remotely close to your ideas becoming reality, it would require more than a collapse of government. It would require a collapse of the parties too. The more chaos, the higher the chance of your ideas getting heard. Now, I was thoughtful about that last sentence. When I typed the more chaos, the higher the chance of your ideas getting heard, I typed that because I thought, even when I said that it would require more than a collapse of government, it would require the collapse of the parties too. At that point, after I'd written that, I thought to myself, even that might not be enough. So I put, the more chaos, the higher the chance of your ideas getting heard. And I wrote that because I thought that I'm not certain, I'm only making a tweet here. I haven't thought it through enough to know how much would be required. Maybe if I did think about it, I wouldn't get an answer in my head. But I thought, what's the nearest I can get that I think I'm telling the truth and I'm certain about? And I put, the more chaos, the higher the chances of your ideas getting heard. You see what I'm saying? You should do. Within a UK context, I tweeted separately, and she'll read this. I wrote, my hope is, with the Tory party suffering meltdown civil war following upcoming general election defeat, that they literally split into two parties. Meanwhile, Labour suffer the same literal split. This is just a hope, as the left are furious, I hope, with Labour for being anti-peace and anti-equality. We need something like that. So you see what I'm saying? We need something like not just a collapse of government, but a collapse of the parties. This is a minimum. The more chaos, the better. So, as you know, AI could help here. It really sounds like a model hoping for things to go so bad, but it's not that I want things to go so bad so that everyone is ruined. I want things to go bad so that we get healthier, so that we do something. It's no coincidence that it took the Second World War for Britain to get progressive in 1945. It's no coincidence that for the next couple of decades, the Conservatives were even fairly progressive. The Tories presided over high tax rates that I would think, what? That's how progressive things got. Of course, high tax rates are one thing. It's what you do with the money to create equality for those at the bottom. We need to go from a society based on abilities to a society based on needs. Why? Because I think that ability thing is a bit of a misnomer. I think that what's happening there is, it sounds better putting it like that, but what would be probably even more truthful is the superiority and ego thing, that they're wanting to better other people rather than just be equal. Some people are going to be better skilled. Some people are going to be better. I don't know if genetics is real in this sort of thing, but maybe that could come into play. Doesn't mean to say they deserve more. I mean, if people are so bright and intelligent, they shouldn't be trying to be superior and wanting more because of it. If they're so intelligent, they should be wanting equality. See what I mean? So it doesn't make sense really. I think it's a superiority thing that sneaks through because while most people are against racism, sexism, homophobia and stuff, people aren't against their own little bit of advantage. I think it's that, to be honest. I'm not being emotional about it, I'm not certain. I might be wrong, but that's what I think. And it's a bit of a shame that. Cultural though, I've always wondered what it'd be like to live in Sweden, Denmark, Norway. Is it much different? Because I know their policies are much different and their quality is much higher. And they keep voting the same way for the same system. So are the people really so wised up to everything? Because it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe because I've lived in Britain all my life. It's like we're propagandized. Are they not propagandized? I don't know. I think that they are progressive in terms of being social democrats. I think they'll be progressive on LGBT stuff because we are, so they'll match it. Probably there might be one race thing there, and that'll be like the only thing they're not progressive on, but everything else they're progressive on, all the equality for everything else, especially income. And that's going to be a problem for them with universal basic income, because if you've satisfied their nation for decades, then although this sounds like what to the UK and US, there'll be vested interests at the bottom. In the UK and the US, there's just desperation at the bottom. Radical as the techies suggest. If it's not, then the Scandinavians will be fine. They'll just continue as they are. Now, this video is about peace and equality. So, like, I'm saying that Labour are not pro-peace and they're not pro-equality. They're pro their own power. Continuity Tories. Now, that's a problem for us, but if Tories can get smashed after the general election by their own side, then if we on the left side can do our responsibility and smash Labour, then everything's up for grabs. That's when we've got a chance. But we're not like, these are two pencils, right? I don't know if you can see them on this crappy video picture. So that's snap these in half. That's equivalent of the Tories and Labour being snapped in half by their own sides, right? I'm not saying that we come through as a full pencil that's all healthy and we take their power. They're broken in half. They're split down the middle. They're two parties now. If you snap one pencil in half, it's two, yeah. So they're two parties now, and we're one big left party. That sounds like a power grab. I'm not meaning that, because look, if I said we're pro equality and pro peace, equality doesn't just mean the income stuff, the UBI stuff, or whatever, or student grants to get more people into uni, or working class into uni. It means power as well. So if we take the state superstructure, can you imagine how much power we would have? Can you imagine how much inequality we'd be presiding over with us sat on the perch at the top? Well, that's what we're all against. We're against the state superstructure. It propaganda, it corrupts, it tempts you to be biased to yourselves and lie to the public to protect yourselves. When someone on your side's corrupt, it tempts you to cover their ass. It just makes you a total wanker, to be honest. And we don't want that. We want to. So, in that chaos where Labour and the Tories are destroyed, we don't come in and just replace them. We would hope that we've persuaded or put pressure on a forced Labour, more likely forced, very much more likely forced, them to bring in UBI. And I can't even imagine them giving up the warmongering stuff. So I don't even think that we could achieve that. I don't think we could force them even. They're so internationalist into the rules-based system that I think they would rather die a death than give up to the left on that. I just think that they're totally and utterly pro-America and pro-Europe, and they will not do anything against that, even if it means deaths in war. So, but if we could get them on UBI, if we could get them on getting more working class students at uni who bringing back grants, what a brilliant policy that used to be until Thatcher got rid of it. But it was a fact check I should do, but I'm 90% confident. We just need to get that culture going, that culture of radicalism used to exist. It's just totally died a death in the UK and in the US. It's pathetic. It's died a death, yet everyone prefers it. Mad. And what do people think about what's replaced it? Well, it's all that power shit that we don't want anything to do with. It's all like, rather than progressivism, it's more like, all hail Rupert Murdoch. All hail the billionaires. I mean, look, I keep saying this on these videos. The top 26 billionaires in the world have as much income and wealth as the bottom 3.4 billion. And it still doesn't change stuff. It still doesn't get into the politicians' heads. Mad. But anyway, Labour are in that Tory extreme right state superstructure, power mad sort of ideology. We need to be not that. So when if we were to take advantage of their collapse and the Tories' collapse, I'd hope that the state superstructure was destroyed, so that the relevance of where power is not seen to be in the news media there, or in the political parties there, or in Parliament there, or in Downing Street there. It has to be elsewhere. So I want power thinly spread. Myself, for my individual self, I just want to make a contribution. As helping direct people to, private UBI schemes. I know that's not universal because it's private, but something that's trying to do that sort of thing. Something like that. But what I don't want is the continuation of this shit show. That's got to go. That's got to be finished. This day's been done. It's over. It's just absolutely knackered and on the floor. Anyone who's still for that now, what are you thinking? You're totally brainwashed. It's game over. They've lost, but we haven't won. Do you know what I mean? It's not like that. It's like you can see them being shattered in France, shattered in Germany, Tories on their knees in Britain. America in a total fiasco. We're just like, we're like the adults who aren't in the room. We need to be in the room. I don't want to replace them, but I don't want them to continue having all this power when everyone hates them. If you said to me, what is America, by the way? I'm going off track of it here. I'd say it's one, an oligarchy, and two, a military state. Or you could put it the other way around. One, a military state, and two, an oligarchy or a military industrial complex. It's not a democracy. The fact that some things are okay about it, I don't know how. I don't think the middle class is secure anymore, but try to give it some credit. In the past, maybe there were, and that would explain why it lasted so long. But it's game over now. I don't think the middle class is secure anymore. So, and even when the middle class were secure, well, we're still a military state and an oligarchy. It had just managed to placate more of its people. It's really, really, really knackered now, though. And so are we. So, our job is to cause as much chaos as possible so it dies a death. There's a risk that fascism could benefit, but we have to hope that we benefit. We can't replace the state because that's like us being them. I'm so distrusting of, like idea of taking power for a while and then giving it up. I just don't see them give it up. But there needs to be an education process and inquiries into the corruption of both the corruption of the propaganda matrix going back God knows how many decades, throughout the whole 20th century, and then an inquiry into the right-wing press and their corruption. The state superstructure, by the way, incorporates the liberal metropolitan elite as well. They might be, on the safe things, anti-racism, anti-sexism, anti-homophobia, all that safe stuff that doesn't affect the powerful. They like play that way, anti that, and that's good. It's fine, but what about warmongering? No, liberals aren't bothered about that, and that could result in the death of all human race, or whole human species, and absolute devastation. You wouldn't be blooming laughing at that if you saw as much as your child or your wife or your pet screaming at death. You wouldn't be thinking it was insignificant then, it was okay, the liberals overlooked it then. Yourself dying as well in an agonising death. You won't be thinking, I understand the liberals then, the liberal left. It's terrible. They ignore the warmongering. And what's the other one they ignore? Liberal left. Class war. Because they can have power for themselves and be outside of that class. The liberal left, right? Yeah, they're not on our side on the class war. They're on the continuity Tory side on the class war because they are Tories. They want power and wealth for themselves. They're not bothered about caring for society. They're bothered about brand image. And at the moment they can see that the blue Tory's brand image is a disaster, but the red Tory brand image is doing okay. It's doing okay compared to the blue Tory brand image, so they know they'll win. But it's just continuity Tories anyway. So Tories win regardless, basically. But for what? It's over. It's game over. They're not liked. It's just so if they want power for themselves, fine. But then admit that what they're doing is having power for themselves. It's got nothing to do with us. I mean, we shouldn't pay them any attention, really. They're not. They're governing for themselves. They're liking their own power and wealth and income and status. No, it's nothing to do with us. And when they take power, they should just really slap themselves on the back and say, right, we've done it. We haven't done it for you lot. I don't know why you keep bothering. But the reason why there seems to be this connection between them is because they can't get that without getting our vote. So it kind of like, well, can you just give us this, please? And it validates our power and status, and we don't think you bugger off. We can bugger off for 5 years. You can't come back to vote for us again in 5 years. But they're not bothered about us in the meantime. It's just. Imagine if they didn't have to be. We didn't have to rely on us to vote for them. They'd just not bother with us at all. They'll just get on with living it up. It's not about us. You just have to pretend it is. But we're not going to play that game. If chaos all happens and it all comes collapsing down, we're not going to go in and pretend it's about, it's about you. Well, we've got all this power and we're hoarding ukes and we're getting limousines and we're getting vast money and we've got vast power and we can tell the world what to do. We're not going to play that game. We're going to say, well, we don't want any of that. We just want to get rid of the state so we all like together, and we're not power and you're not, in the gutter. We're just going to not take power so it's thinly spread. Once those who have that elite status that are cut off from society and separate themselves off, once that's given up or forced out of them, more likely, then power is automatically more thinly spread, because you can't say there's power in Downing Street, there's power in Parliament. You can't point to power anywhere. That's the point. So, but we need the chaos. We need the chaos. Without the chaos, then nothing changes. We just go on forever with this miniature version of the Roman Empire. So that's why I want chaos. I want chaos because out of chaos we can have a much saner, more rational, more fair, less manipulative, less gaslighting, less absolute scum society. That'd be brilliant. A dream come true. It'd be an absolute dream. And just like I said, just like it took a world war for any hope that briefly sprung up in 1945, and that's the last time it did. Because the state then, because of how much suffering people had been through, the people wanted to give decency a chance. And you say, well, don't the people normally want to give decency a chance? There's two things to that. One, sort of, but two, they're propagandized. So some do and some are propagandized. But you couldn't propagandize the people in 1945. You couldn't say, the states can't do everything, we can't just, there's only so much, there's strict limits, because people have just seen that they were capable of fighting a whole world war. So they knew that there wasn't these strict limits. They knew that was propaganda, that was bullshit, that was lies. And so it was proved for the first time ever. Whereas before the Second World War, if the politicians had said there's strict limits, we can't do it, they would say, oh yeah, we know that, it's common sense. And that's what they did think. And you think about the Victorian era, how much common sense that was then. It was still common sense in the 1930s. And by the time 1945, it was seen that the common sense was absolute bullshit and nonsense. Common sense, me, I only believe common sense in terms of don't put your hand in the fire. Don't run out in front of a car and stuff like that. Don't play in rough seas. When it comes to politics, common sense is usually just bullshit. It's usually an excuse for power and control, manipulation, gaslighting, absolute scum. The political class, the state superstructure, the propaganda matrix is absolute scum. And I saw a video earlier on, it was in cartoon form, but it was trying to be serious, of the US when they dropped the Hiroshima bomb. Evil personified. Call it a war crime. Doesn't get it across. I couldn't watch to the end. Disgusting. Absolutely. I mean, the word final doesn't get it across. The word scum doesn't get it across. Terrible. We need to be for peace and equality, and the way we do that is by getting this bloody nightmare state superstructure propaganda matrix in absolute chaos. We need to absolutely bring about chaos so that it collapses final death. And when it collapses its final death, my final word to it would be scum. End of video.